Eastern Conference is not as confusing to see who will win, at least as at the top, than the Western Conference, where you have a bunch of different kind of opportunities and you can see a bunch of different avenues for teams to kind of come out of the East or the West, excuse me. Even though the Nuggets are definitely heavy favorites. Um, but the bottom of this Western or Eastern Conference, excuse me, is a bit confusing and kind of interesting to look through. Yep, but so this is the Eastern Conference portion of the previews for the NBA season. There is a Western Conference preview on the channel, or will be on the channel. So look out for that, and if you're interested, check that out, as well as liking, subscribing, sharing, all those good things people can do on the YouTube, and I really appreciate it. But on to the preview. So we're going to begin from bottom to top of the standings last year. So that means we're beginning with the Pistons, who lost Cade early into last year, which is unfortunate because we all expect pretty big things coming from him as a number one overall pick and big guard who showed a lot of upside. His preseason he's looked okay. We'll kind of see as he gets his legs back under him what he can be, and obviously they with Monty there they kind of need him to be really good, because this Pistons team has some interesting pieces with Ivy, who this preseason has been interesting. His efficiency is not there, but as a young guard, that's kind of expected. He's really fast, and there's some intrigue with him. And then Jalen Duran, also big interest as a big. So they need a lot of guys to kind of step up for them to even be in consideration for a playing spot, which would be pretty big for them, coming off of really, really bad years. Excuse me. Azar, though, has looked incredible. He's going to be really good, and I'm excited for him as an NBA player to kind of show out this year, and hopefully he can be very good. This team, again, I think maxes out at the play-in spot, but the Killian Hayes experiment didn't work, although they're running him off the bench. There's just a lot of weird kind of things that they'll have to figure out over the course of the year. I think Monty Williams is going to be a really good hire to establish a culture. Cade needs to kind of show us something, where he's been solid, but kind of where his expectations were. Duran has been pretty fantastic for him as a big, which is good, especially now that Stewart has kind of been like fairly wishy-washy, and how long does he really have for this Pistons team. But yeah, there's some good things to look at for this Pistons team, but kind of see how the season goes. If you're a Pistons fan, you have some intrigue and some excitement for specific players. But as far as like amount of wins, we'll see. Now moving on to the Hornets, who health again for their franchise point guard is in question all the time. LaMelo plays great and then gets hurt often, but he's definitely great, and you should expect a lot of great things from him. It's these other guys where this roster is not that great. I mean, they have vets like Gordon Hayward and PJ Washington, and then Miles Bridges for whatever he gives them. If he gets suspended or doesn't, I don't know. He's got a whole off the field court thing that he needs to deal with. But you got Brandon Miller, your second overall pick, who has had some moments and some not so good moments in the summer league and preseason, but we'll kind of see. He was the second overall pick for a reason. I'm not the highest on him, but he was a very solid wing in college and has projection to be so in the NBA as well. Mark Williams had some really good moments at the end of the year last year, and he's huge. So I think they need, especially with the Steve Clifford defense that he runs, hope for him is there, really. So, and then Nick Smith Jr. as a guard also kind of provides like a Terry Rozier-esque kind of thing, and hopefully he can elevate more than that over the course of his career. Again, I kind of want to go off on a Steve Clifford kind of tangent here, because I've been a big fan of his, especially with his days in Orlando, where he had some good defenses. He limited turnovers for that team, and then they were kind of solid as opposed to like what their talent level really was. He's a really good coach. Is he the right one for the NBA today? Is kind of a question, but we'll kind of see there. Onto the Magic, who had really really big off season, kind of weird, but they have a lot of hype surrounding them. They've made a really good draft pick in Paolo Banchero, who's been incredible. He's been a leader, and he kind of sparked a Magic team that really, really needed it. Franz Wagner also has a bunch of hype going in this year. I know a lot of people didn't necessarily love their draft, but you drafted the point guard in Black, and then Howard, who have some intrigue as far as Black as a passer, as a big body passer and defender, and Howard as a scorer. They have a lot of guards. That being said, although Black is a big guard, he can't really shoot that well yet, if at all, in his career. And then it's crowded in there. We'll see what they make decision wise with Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz, and the list can kind of keep going on for them. And then they have solid big man play from Wendell Carter, who's kind of revamped his career, which is good to see. So on to the Wizards. This will be the Jordan Poole show, which should be fun. I feel like this team is going to be an underrated League Pass team. I was a big Johnny Davis fan going into last year. Bilal Coulibaly seems to have a lot of interest, and as far as right away what he will be is we'll see. But definitely projection is there for him. I love Denny Avdia as like a passer, defender. His shot has kind of been wishy-washy, and as a scorer, he did just get extended today as I record. So this Wizards team, has a bunch of options. They're finally committing to being bad, or they're shying away from like trying to be good. With all these Wizards teams with Bradley Beal, they had the Russell Westbrook thing. They had the John Wall. Just they're finally kind of admitting defeat and being a team that we always kind of expected them to kind of turn to. But we'll kind of see. I think Johnny Davis, I was a big fan of, and I hope he ended the season really well last year. So hopefully he can kind of take it this year, because he had a pretty disappointing rookie year, all things considered. Now to this Pacers team, who also should be really fun. I am looking forward to the Halliburton and Obi Toppin lobs that we will see all year. Benedict Mathurin also had a really good rookie year, as a scorer. We will see his jump. They had a really good drafting Jarris Walker. So all these lineups can kind of be fun. You got Halliburton, Toppin, Turner, Jarris Walker, Benedict Mathurin, Ryan Nembhard, who really showed out as a second round pick. This team should be fun. I'm a big Rick Carlisle fan, also as a coach. So we'll see what kind of jump this team makes. Onto the Bulls, who are kind of in that purgatory stage right now. I mean, the Lonzo injury is very, very saddening, because when he was healthy, this team was like best team in the East, at least record wise, for that stretch. But he's not looking like he's going to play at all this year, and we'll see what his career looks like kind of going forward. It doesn't look great for him, unfortunately, because he's a really good player. But DeMar's here, Zach LaVine's here. Like they extended Vooch. Like this team's just not very good in my opinion, and they kind of maxed out. So we'll kind of see what they plan on. I know DeMar's in a contract year, if I'm not mistaken, or he has an out after this year. Do they trade LaVine? Like what? Billy Donovan's not, in my opinion, a great coach. I've talked a lot about coaches in this video, but we'll kind of see what the Bulls do. Although I don't expect much. The Raptors are similar in a way, although they have some intriguing pieces. Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, who they drafted this year. Just kind of what do they do? What kind of direction do they stray into? Because they were in the Dame sweepstakes at the end, although I don't know what Dame would have done if he was traded there. Siakam, like, do they trade him? Do they keep him? Kind of, who knows? What kind of move do these Raptors make? They hired a coach who is super intriguing offensively from Memphis. I cannot for the life of me pronounce his name, so I will not try. But yeah, he's got some intrigue there. This team, they've always been the like really big guard forward thing. They traded a lot for Jakob Pertl, and they extended him, and he's getting paid a lot. So what is this Raptors team really? They can maybe be a bottom, like a sixth seed playing team at best, I think, unless offensively they can be kind of unlocked with their coaching staff. So yeah, we'll kind of wait and see. They're fun in some ways, and then kind of meh in others. But yeah, onto this Hawks team who. I kind of want to give them a fresh start, especially they had Quinn Snyder come in kind of late into the year, and just kind of the Nate McMillan thing didn't work. So I think the Dejounte Trae Young backcourt really starts this year, and we'll kind of see with what they can do there. Is there urgency to kind of be good because Trae may not feel happy in here in Atlanta. So we'll kind of have to wait and see with that. They got solid wings, and we'll see what they do with Hunter, AJ Griffin, and Sadiq Bey. They did pay. They did pay Bay, rhyming accidentally. Shout out Chris Move, but they paid Hunter, I believe. So and then they have this weird thing with Okongwu and Capella. Do they finally kind of unleash Okongwu, or do they want to keep doing the whole like split time in the center position for them? It's interesting. We'll kind of see how that goes. So this Hawks team, I think there's a lot for them to be good fairly quickly for keeping Trae Young in Atlanta. We'll kind of wait and see. That's an interesting storyline to kind of look out for. Onto this Heat team, who I am really really low on. They had a really bad offseason. Did not get Dame, did not get Beal, did not get Drew Holiday, which is and unfortunately, except for Beal, those guys went to the Eastern Conference teams, and teams that are much better than them, were much better than them going into the last year and this year, and are definitely much better than now. So the Heat, now more is on Jimmy's plate. I love Kyle Lowry, but he's older. Now much more is on Tyler Hero's plate. Now much more is on Bam's plate. And this wing rotation is not solid. So I know the Heat are always kind of adding from the G League, and forgotten players or not even looked at players. So they always have that element. I don't know how much can that I call voodoo magic kind of extend. Who really knows? Losing Max Strus and Gabe Vincent does not bode well for them. I know Martin is had a really really good kind of playoffs and as a scorer, which is nice. So more is on his plate as a regular kind of season guy, and so is on Duncan Robinson. So we'll kind of have to just see. This Heat team is kind of always there for whatever reason. Eric Spoelstra is a great coach, and Jimmy's a great player, and so is Bam and Hero. But they've always kind of disappointed in the regular season, and then kind of stepped it up in the playoffs. But will that continue? Who knows? Onto this Nets team, who is pretty fun. Ben Simmons reports are like pretty positive right now, which is going to be interesting. Like if he's really good and back to his form that he was at, then this Nets future, which is bright, is even brighter. And Mikal Bridges went crazy as a number one option. Is he a number one option truly? We'll kind of wait and see. Cam Johnson is solid. I think he's underrated, kind of going to the basket, actually. I know he's got a couple dunks, but he's scary at the three-point line, and he's kind of underrated to me as a, like, off-the-catch, like, attack a closeout kind of guy. And then, they've been solid rotation guys, and Dorian Finney-Smith. Spencer Dinwiddie is a great guard and leader to have on a team. Nick Claxton had an All NBA defense kind of year um, last year, so we'll see what he kind of adds this year. Yeah, I mean, this Nets team, I love Jock Vaughn as a coach. Again, I'm talking about coaches, but we're kind of excited for this team. The Knicks here, where this is more of a Villanova reunion than a Knicks basketball team, but it's okay. The Villanova basketball program has produced a lot of really good NBA players, and that's why they're here. And so I mean, the Knicks have added. They've kind of they've elevated from in my lifetime being like really bad to now they've been at least solid, right? So they've been like the 4 seed in back-to-back years. They actually won a playoff series for the first time in a long time. So there's a lot of excitement for this Knicks team. I think unfortunately for them, they're kind of they're that next echelon of teams in the East. I mean, obviously we have the Bucks and the Celtics that we'll get to in a second. But the Cavs are kind of up next, especially now with like the weirdness that's going on in Philadelphia. But is it enough to do they have the star power to kind of win a series? And is Julius Randle good enough to kind of be your leading guy, or Brunson, who had a great year last year? Josh Hart fits New York, so does Dante DiVincenzo. Honestly, Mitchell Robinson is also very, very good. He needs to stay healthy, but this Knicks team, Tom Thibodeau again with coaches, is solid. So what can these Knicks do? Do they need to make a move? RJ Barrett has always kind of. I think at this point, as far as a jump he can make, it's kind of there. I think he's stagnated as a player, which is a very good NBA player, but we expected him to be a top player coming out of that draft. So it kind of is what it is. This Knicks team's very good, and they will be an easy playoff team in my eyes. But as far as kind of being that upper team, it's interesting. We'll kind of see what they can do. Do they kind of surprise as far as that goes? But this Knicks team's very good and should be for a little while at least. Now, excuse me, the Cavs, who made that big trade for Donovan Mitchell, Garland made a jump. The Cavs, made a big jump, and they, I think, are the next team to kind of triumph or to kind of go at the Bucks and Celtics. They had a really good offseason kind of addressing, the wing position and shooting, with Max Strus and George Niang. So, and then they drafted Amani Bates, who's not going to do very much at all in the season, let alone playoffs. But, he's going to have intrigue regardless of how good he actually is. But yeah, I mean, they need a Mobley jump again, especially offensively. Defensively, he's insane. Jared Allen also does these two in the backcourt, the front court, does it work really well together? We'll kind of have to see, but yeah, just kind of we gotta see what this Cavs team does. The necessity to win may be urgent. If you don't follow Sporting Logically, I will put his YouTube in the description. But he does talk a lot about how maybe Donovan Mitchell doesn't kind of stay with the Cavs, and that whole idea of because he didn't ask to be here really. I mean, he traded here and he's here, but is it going to be enough? And will there be an urgency to trade him kind of quickly from this Cavs team to kind of get value back for him if they don't succeed? We'll kind of see, and we'll see the validity to that. But now the 76ers, who have the weirdness with Harden, I mean, the Embiid and Maxey should be fun. They added some pieces as wing depth and whatnot, and they hired Nick Nurse, who's an upgrade over Doc Rivers. But I kind of want to, before we make any like decisions on what the Sixers are, I kind of want to see what Harden does. He's been at practice, not been at practice. It's weird. It's the whole thing. Now the Celtics, who I mean, clearly we're at the pinnacle of the Eastern Conference, and these two teams, the Celtics and Bucks, I expect to be the Eastern Conference Finals this year. The Bucks traded essentially Marcus Smart for Drew Holiday, which is an upgrade in a lot of ways. And then they added KP. They did lose Time Lord, but I mean, his health has always been a question for him with the Celtics. So, Al Horford did get older. KP adds an element of offense that they've never really had before, and that's Kristaps Porzingis, KP. But we'll kind of see with the depth at the center position what they'll do there. Tatum and Brown, are those are the guys, and then Derek White also provides a lot for them. Tom Mazzulla, I know, had a lot of flack kind of thrown his way as far as his coaching style. This team went on a run last year and we're a number 2 seed for a reason. So this team's very good. And then the Bucks with Dame now. That Giannis Dame pick and roll is going to be insane. They're going to be very big, I think, against like the Celtics. Like I think the units of like Bobby Portis, Brooke Lopez, and Giannis with like Dame and then Pat Connaughton or whoever, it doesn't really matter, are going to be interesting. Like, can they play them together much against like a Celtics team? I kind of think they will try to. They know they got a new coach, so we'll kind of see. I'm excited for just the Dame Giannis tandem is. I know you've probably heard ad nauseum just how exciting they will be, but I'm ecstatic. And now this kind of finishes up our previews, and I'm excited to see what is in store for the NBA season. I hope fans of all teams enjoy the year, have a lot of fun and excitement. So yeah.